All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Cardboard Cellar Modern Tournament Series. This round we have Philip Zell on the left versus Erros on the right. Phill was in one of our earlier rounds as well, so he's getting plenty of camera time here today.
Yeah, I'm getting a little sick of seeing K Command on that video, but here we are, and he's crushing with it. So, Erros is on some spiciness and trying to catch some people off guard with a little bit of Neoform. So we'll kind of see if it works here.
Yeah, the K Command card representing tribal, as always in the Cardboard Cellar Tournament Series. There's always some tribal decks floating around, and usually up towards the top tables. But NeoBrand, I think, would be a pretty good foil for these mana ramping strategies like Eldrazi here. So let's see how it pans out.
Yeah, it's Erros' first time. He's started off as an infect player and kind of work his way into some new things, and we'll kind of see what we got.
Both players taking a look at their opening hands here. I don't see too much in the way of lands for our NeoBrand player, but I know they have some redundancy in those MDFCs. It looks like he's taken that one on back. Both of them are here, so better luck to our players on 6.
And do want to point out this is round 5, so this is our final round of the Swiss, and this is, I believe, a pretty big round for Arrows. I know that definitely Phill is in, but kind of see where Arrows is at.
Yeah, Phill might be down towards the bottom of the breakers as well. I'm not 100% sure what his record is here. I know I got lucky and snuck past him in round 2. And I think he picked up a draw in round 1, so he probably needs to win this one to be in as well.
Yeah, I guess that is true. I think we picked a kind of on the border match to place here and kind of see how it goes. But it looks like we do have some choices, and they are ready to go.
Starting off revealing an Eldrazi, taking a look at the top couple of cards. And looks like we've got a reveal from both players. Lots of pregame actions to float around.
There is some tomfoolery going on here.
For sure. Some of the more degenerate decks in Modern here to present for us in round 5. Let's see if Phill even gets a turn here with Neoform having the potential to go off on turn 0.
I believe he's done a couple of turn 1 wins this tournament so far. Caught a few people off guard, so.
And it looks like that's what he's in line for here as he casts that Summoner's Pack on turn 1. There's no way he's going to be able to pay for it next turn, so he must think he has the win clinched up here.
Yep, he's going right for it. Yeah, Allosaurus Rider to start. Let's see what we got.
Love keeping track of that Gemstone Caverns. Easy enough to forget to do that, but a very powerful land. You got to keep track of those detriments. So great job, Erros. See the Neoform.
Oh,
Neoform coming through. And that looks like a worm. So we're going to Neoform to get the Grizzlebrand. I don't see a Nourishing Shoal yet. Nourishing Shoal will allow him to gain enough life to start drawing off of Grizzlebrand. And if this whole combo works out, we'll be going to get a Soren Markov as well. That will transform and then use its -1 in order to one-shot your opponent here on turn 0.
All right, and here we got it. We're going getting Grizzlebrand, Grizzy. And I just do want to point out that the names on the phone are incorrect. On the left, we do have Phill Zell. On the right, we do have Erros Brumfield. So that is not Zagnar Lothwin nor Dallas M. So,
yeah, I think maybe we need to streamline that for future tournaments. It's nice to have the names there, but we struggle to keep up with it here. So lots of learning to do on the production side.
Yeah, those guys suck. We'll get it one day.
All right, 7 new cards for Erros, 14 new cards rather, and we're going to be gaining some life with a worm of some kind and a Nourishing Shoal. And I think that is that little artifact floating down in the corner. I think that's a Zuran Orb, so if he needs to gain 2 life off of one of these lands, he'll be able to do so to maybe get an extra spin. If he were to miss on the Nourishing Shoal, that Zuran Orb allows him to go from 6 up to 8, get an extra spin hopefully find a additional Nourishing Shoal and be able to repeat the process.
Yep, and Phill kind of helping out here. Appreciate you, Phill. But yep, Nourishing Soul down. We're gaining some life. We're doing some G-Rizzy kind of things. Kind of seeing where we go here. Yep, comes the Mox.
The worst part of this is Phill had to go through all those shuffles with a mulligan to just sit here and watch his opponent play Solitaire on turn 0.
Yep.
Although he did take an action.
Yes.
He's the first player to take an action in this game.
He did make a decision, and he did some degenerate things. The other deck is just a little bit more degenerative at this point.
For sure.
So, you gotta love to see it. From Erros' side.
Yep. I suppose there is some failure rate with this deck. I think it got a lot more consistent with the printing of those MDFCs. I don't know all the names of them, but there were a couple of green ones in particular, being one of the crucial colors for the deck, green and blue, that have a high converted mana cost on their front side. And that really allows you to have the consistency for your Nourishing Shoals. I remember this deck getting quite a buff during the Viking set when those came out.
Yeah, I think just also going just from having only Neoform to having the ability to do Eldritch Evolution, I think having the 8 searches
for sure
kind of helped too a little bit.
And it's not too frequently you're dead on turn 2 in Modern, so if you're on the play, you get to dive in with that Eldritch Evolution on turn 3. You still have a fair chance of not being just dead on the crackback.
Yeah, I was a little shocked actually of how consistent he was hitting this combo though, and just getting to play with him a few times and then seeing it throughout the tournament, hitting consistent turn 1, turn 2s almost, more than it used to be at least.
Yeah, I think this deck was playing the banned green card that was a free search your top 4 for a creature. Can't remember the name of it now.
Came out of Throne of
Throne of Eldrazi.
Yes, yeah, that got banned.
But I think they were playing this, and I think when that got banned, a lot of people got off the deck, but it still has a ton of potential. It still definitely increased its consistency from the inception of the deck, back when you would be stalling out like a quarter of the time. I remember a couple of people playing it locally in Sharon back in the day when it was first on the scene, and we'd sit here and watch them spin their wheels, and there was no guarantee that they were going to go off. But we do see the win condition there, and Soren Markov transforming into a Planeswalker, -1, and shooting Phill down to 0. So our players will get shuffled up here for game 2. Why don't we take a look at what Phill has going on? I think Erros' game plan is very linear. We'll still take a look at what he has, but Phill may have more to offer outside of sideboarding.
Yeah, so Phil's got a lot of different 1-drops here, so he has just so much ability to kind of go through. What are we kind of thinking?
In this matchup, I don't know if you rely on your Karns to get them out of the sideboard. You kind of need them on the turn 2, turn 3 that you can cast them. Phill obviously will have more experience in that matter. We'll defer to whatever he ends up doing. I would think Soulless Jailer. Players can't cast on creature spells.
That's from
cards.
graveyard.
It doesn't even really affect it.
Yeah.
Pithing Needle, name Soren.
Yeah, it's about the only thing, because you're not going to get enough time for an Engineering Explosives. It's not attacking for Ensnaring Bridge.
Yep.
No enchantments for the Haywire Might. I mean, yeah, it seems like Phill might just be doing his kind of thing as well, and looking to maybe combo off like a Walking Ballista or something.
Right. Not Torpor Orb. Trinisphere might be an interesting one. I'm not certain how that interacts with these alternate costs for discarding. I don't know if you have to pay 3 in addition to the alternate cost, but that could be one for consideration. I'm sure Phill knows how that interaction works. But let's take a look at Erros' board as well.
So Erros with not quite the 15, but he's got the 11. So probably sticking with the same thing.
Games creators, let him play 15. He says, I don't need it. I'm going to dominate regardless. So I'll just roll with 11. Not even going to slip in a Leyline of the Void play set in here. We'll just rock him.
Yeah. And I think, as we kind of talked about, he's sticking to the same thing. I don't know if there's much else he's doing. Maybe a Noctis Revival.
Yeah, just up your consistency a little bit. I Don't think he has too much interaction in the deck overall. Manamorphose versus Noxious Revival. The question there is really, do you need the card right away? Where Manamorphose, you're drawing a card for free and you're just trying to churn through. If you know you're not going to be dying on turn 2 or 3, which you're unlikely to do versus Eldrazi, it might be better to have that Noxious Revival instead. But our players are looking at their opening hands here. I don't see too much else to take out. There's a Veil of Summer in Erros' main as well. That would be an easy swap for a Noxious Revival. So he could easily bring in one if he wanted to bring in the second over the Manamorphose. I could see that as well.
All right, we're looking, we're peeking, so let's see what we got.
See a couple of lands, a Manamorphose, Eldritch Evolution, some MDFCs.
I think he likes what he sees.
Keeping, and we are off to turn 0 for Phill.
And oh,
Chalice
the rip.
Yeah, coming in for 0.
I would assume trying to take off of Summoner's Pact.
Yeah, Summoner's Pact makes a lot of sense. I'm assuming that doesn't stop any of the alternate costs. It also stops the Moxes that he uses to cast the Sorin. I'm surprised there's only 2 of those in the deck, to be honest. I think you'd just... Obviously, it's not crucial for your engine until you're already winning, but I would think you would just need the consistency of being able to hit Sorin plus the ability to cast it in your top 2 spins there.
Yeah, definitely a nice turn 1 for Phill. At least gets him off some and gives him time to maybe set up for himself. And Erros, as we talked about, is brand new to this deck, so probably just kind of thinking through some things, as well as Phill, kind of a master of this piece. But
and the MDFC cards have the fun little sub game of them always being in the opposite position, front or back, of how you want to use them. So got to take a moment there to get those straightened out as we're casting a Manamorphose, digging a little bit deeper here. Also stops the Zurin Orb. That Chalice, actually, a lot more impactful than I would have initially thought.
Yeah, looks like we're...
Zurin Orb may have made it through the Chalice. We'll see if Phill catches it here. It is on Phill to remember his counter triggers for this. And it looks like it made it through, unless that went directly into the graveyard. Kozilek's command. Going to be digging and probably creating a Scion here if I had to guess. No? And that is that Tron Online? That art is throwing me off a little bit.
Yeah, beautiful art. I believe it is. I think that's Tron Online, and he's rolling.
Yep. Karn gonna go looking in the sideboard. Let's see what Phill drums up. Might be on a land hate strategy here, since you don't have a ton of other interaction with the deck. Just try to pinch the resources in the one way that you know are possible. And I think that Zurin Orb is now in exile. I think that's what the other mode on the K command was.
And great call on the Pithing Needle, also an alternate art, which is great, love it. But, yep, so it sounds like that's coming down, probably hitting that Sorin.
So Phill definitely has the start of his prison game here in play, locking out the opponent from their game plan. It's just a matter of finding a big old haymaker now to start dealing some damage.
Yep, so Erros got 3. I think we need to go down on that gemstone. See if he remembers. No.
I think you took it away when you use it. Yeah.
Okay.
And passing the turn back to Phill as he goes to get something else from his sideboard. This might be like a Cityscape Leveler or something like that. Be a threat and a and a little bit of hate for some lands. Oh, going straight with the
Liquid metal coating.
yes, and you've probably seen it before, but this turns one of the artifacts into, or sorry, lands into an artifact, and then a plus from Karn on it in the following turn allows you to start destroying lands. Although when they become artifacts, they lose the ability to tap because of Karn anyway. So they're already kind of Rashadan Port stalling method, and then eventually it becomes straight up land destruction.
Yep, and it looks like Phil's kind of explaining that process to Erros currently. Probably the first time he's ever gotten this, which had that plenty of times.
For sure.
PTSD.
Yep. I remember back in the Oko days that Karn was absolutely everywhere to fight off Oko and Urza, and this was a mainstay back in that format.
We don't talk about Oko.
Right. You know, every once in a while I just want to beat in with a 3/3 elk. What can I say?
Yeah, there's a lot of elks running around at that point. Couldn't have anything nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Phill has got plenty of mana. Let's see what he's going to do with it.
Digging with that K command, trying to find a big threat here.
And we're back to turn. See what we got. See if he can. Because Erros has all the mana. He's got enough to do what he needs to do. Can't see how many cards in hand, but we're going to take out that gemstone.
Phill definitely gonna start destroying some lands. I'd almost be tempted to go after the breeding pool because the gemstone has its own kind of clock on it. I know it gives you a lot more flexibility in what colors you're casting, but blue and green are all he needs for the deck. I'd almost just want to let him constrain himself a bit as well.
Oh, and we're picking that card back out from there, so it looks like we got an Ulamog coming down.
All right, yeah. Not going to be relevant here as Ulamog's going to start crushing away at Erros' life total and his library before too long.
Erros kind of looking. Yep, and there it is.
That'll do it.
Not much you can do there.
Yep, we'll go into game 3 here. I can't imagine there's too many changes.
I would assume that, I mean, I know Erros has the turn 1 potential, but I feel like you still probably keep on the Chalice if you're Phill.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even being on the draw.
Yeah, you don't have a ton of interaction for his deck. I think you keep in what you have, and being able to play a hate piece on turn 1 even after your opponent is still just about the best you can hope for. So we'll see if it really comes down to hating on the consistency of Erros' deck, and you're both hunting for 4-ofs. Phill for his 4-of Chalice, and Erros for his 4-of Summoner's Pact, or an additional 4-of the Allosaurus Rider itself.
And it looks like, yeah, they're both dead set, and they're moving forward. So a couple of degenerates doing degenerative things.
Yeah, for sure. Rolling into a quick game 3 here for all the marbles, and a chance at the top 8.
Yeah, I feel like this match is just, it's quick, you know, win or not win, and off a combo real quick. So we're gonna see. I know Phil's deck can obviously grind harder than Erros, but there are a few ways, opportunities that if Erros gets shut down, he can kind of pull through. Played against him a couple times, and did kind of drag it out a little bit longer than I expected him to be able to. But
that is one of the things that I would not anticipate from this deck. I would struggle to play one of these decks because it's just it feels so all in to me. Unless you're trying to get up to the 10, the 13 mana to be casting some worms, it doesn't seem like the deck has too much of a backup plan. Honestly, if you're looking for a couple of sideboard slots, I wouldn't hate putting in 1 2-drop and 1 powerful 3-drop, maybe like a Geist to Saint Draft, and maybe some Mana Dork on 2, so that you have a backup plan of, if I draw this Mana Dork, I can put in a beater, and hopefully they've wasted all their resources on hate cards.
Right. I believe he's got Galta in there as kind of as a beatdown plan, but also something to go grab off the Allosaurus Rider piece. Which, no, I wouldn't even hit that, so I think Galta's just in there. I'm not sure on that end. I like the Saint Draft, though.
It might be a separate win condition to get away from Sorin. If they have a Pithing Needle, for example, or something like that, you can just start beating in with Grizzlebrand once it's had 12 power added to it by Galta. But our players are off to a roll here. Once again, finding the chalice from Phill and constraining any summoners pacts, or Zoran orbs or moxes from Erros here. See if he can play through it.
Yeah, I'm wondering actually if he did hit the Grizzlebrand with the Pithing Needle to start, as opposed to
Yeah, that's another great call. I didn't even consider that.
to give him no cards for the card advantage.
That makes perfect sense, because if you don't name the Grizzlebrand, they get to dig through their whole deck, find their Nature's Claim, and deal with your Pithing Needle. No, perfect. I completely overlooked that.
Yeah,
perfect
I mean,
call out on that.
We're just gonna go out here with a Grizzy and overlook him. So get some stuff going on. Phill, a heck ton of mana already. What else do we expect? Erros kind of making some decisions.
I'm not real familiar with which Eldrazi that is. Is that Not Seer?
That's yep. It's
Okay.
an alternate Thought Not Seer. So that's where you got to go peek.
You can tell that Phill didn't draw Eldrazi against me, because I have not seen these alternates. I saw, I think, an Ulamog in game 2, and that was about it.
Well, that's one you don't want to see.
Right.
So,
Yep.
and this, I think, as we've talked about in the prior rounds, just what a MVP, the Mycosynth. I mean, just really able to constrain mana on the other end while ramping yourself. It really, on a 3/2 body, it's been incredible.
Exactly what the Eldrazi deck wants to do. Slow your opponent down, put some blockers in the way, and advance your own game plan. It's the perfect card for this deck. Thought Not Seer swinging in there. Erros going to be fighting for his life, even if he can combo off. He's not going to have too many spins to find the components he needs. Let's see if he can get there.
But check out that playmat. I know he wanted to kind of show off his new Transformers playmat, and yeah, it was pretty cool. So
yeah,
I know he's excited about it. Brand new player, just learning his way through.
Yep, everybody's got their own little flair. Definitely keeps the game interesting and allows for some great conversations between the players between rounds.
I know I've gotten a lot of comments on mine throughout the years of big tournaments, and it's fun to talk about. So let's see what he's got going. Got 2 tapped here.
Heard lots of comments on that, compliments on that Pokemon deck box and your little, I don't know the name of the Pokemon, but the one you use for your reminder on the top of the deck.
Yeah, my Aether Vial trigger reminder. Yep. Oh, and we see the K command.
Yeah, is that the third one this game, or it's at least the second?
I feel like it's Groundhog Day out here.
Yeah,
seeing all these K commands.
A little bit of PTSD slipping through.
Yep. Not trying to get that hit, on me, but seen it too many times. Luckily, I avoided Phill throughout the rounds.
Let's see if you guys get a chance to play in the top 8 here or not. You're locked in at this point, I believe.
Yes. So I believe me and Frank are over there playing for the top spot, top seed.
I'm playing for my life against Zach with Is It Phoenix? And obviously this is a win in as well. So definitely a transformative round for what our top 8's going to look like here.
Yep, and looks like we get hit with another Thought Not Seer, and we're taking another thing.
Down to 3 cards in hand. Definitely difficult to piece something together with only.
Yeah, this might be it. It's probably the nail in the coffin. We got some big bodies coming in. And that is
down to 1. Let's see if we can piece it together with a couple of top decks here. Destroying the land.
That's just insult to injury.
Oh, for sure.
Phill, you're a dirty man.
So if he can exile, he needs 2 green cards, one being an Allosaurus Rider. I think he's off of, he's got the 3rd land for Eldritch Evolution. So 3 cards left in hand.
And that's it. We're scooping up. So another round goes to Phill. Great job. And then we'll see you guys back for the top 8.
For sure.